Our new story starts inside a hospital room. A doctor and a nurse opened the door and entered, calling out the boy's name who was confined inside. The boy was found in front of a mirror with a confused face. His face and body have a bandage, looks like he has some injuries. The doctor then made him lie on the bed to check on his injuries and wounds, and as they took all of the bandages, his injuries were all healed up now. Both the doctor and the nurse can't believe their eyes when they saw that his injuries have been healed already. The reason why he was injured in the first place was due to a traffic accident, and he went into a critical condition after that. The doctor said it was as if he was healed by holy magic. The boy thought to himself that that was normal, his magic automatically heals him. But it seems like the memory of the accident was vague for him. He remembered something and asked the doctor that wasn't the reason for his hospitalization was because he depleted his mana. Confused, the doctor asked what he meant by mana depletion. The boy then explained that he remembered he was fighting monsters during a calamity and lost consciousness after the fight. The doctor and the nurse looked at each other, hinting something. The doctor asked the boy about the current year as well as his name. The boy obediently answered that his name was Ichikami Minato and that should be 1970. Hearing Minato's answers, the doctor said that it could be a case of memory impairment because his name was supposed to be Kusanagi Minato and the year would be 2022. Hearing this, Minato started to scan his surroundings. He saw a TV so thin and the image was clear. The calendar also shows the year was 2022 and he has no idea what was that small device that the nurse has been carrying all this time. Minato was shocked by this sudden revelation. He was shocked that he was now in the future. The doctor then added that the calamity that he said was 50 years ago and it hasn't appeared since. This caught Minato's attention and asked about the monsters. The doctor told him that there were still monsters but they were few in number and it's currently very peaceful. But the great sage Ichikami Minato died on that battlefield, so he can't be Ichikami, the doctor said. Minato felt relieved when he heard that the world has attained peace, but he definitely remembered dying at that time and then he was now reincarnated in this body. But why this body and how? Some weeks later and Minato was finally discharged. He went back to his small room in his memory. There he found out that Kusanagi's parents both passed when he was a child. He was also kicked out by his foster parents and sent to a boarding school. Since then, he was living off his parents' inheritance. With this information, Minato understood Kusanagi's situation. He then thought of his reincarnation. Minato hasn't heard of such magic, so the only thing he can think of was that his reincarnation was a work of a god. He saw Kusanagi's academy ID and thought that back in his days, an academy for teaching magic has no reason to exist. Thinking about it, Minato was interested in the said academy for magic. Suddenly, he heard what seemed to be an alarm coming from his bag. It was his phone and a person named Tadano-kun was calling him. Minato doesn't know who this person is and more importantly, he doesn't have a slight idea of what he was holding and how to use it. He chucked the phone away after some thought. His phone stopped ringing and a message from Tadano-kun displayed. It says that Tadano was hurrying Minato to go to school since he was already discharged and he got no money. It seems like Tadano was a school bully. Oh boy, he's in for a good time. Cut to some time later, Minato arrived at Kamui Magic Academy. He was a bit nervous coming to school as an adult, but it seems like he was looking forward to it. At the corner of Minato's eyes, he saw someone practicing his magic. A red magic circle appeared in his right arm as he aimed at the dummy. Watching the man release his magic, Minato can't help but be disappointed at the power of the magic that the student has displayed. He compared the power of that magic to a newbie magician from his time and it was a tenth of the magician's power. It seems like people nowadays were so used to peace that the quality of the magicians has declined by a lot. Nevertheless, Minato headed to his classroom. He never experienced peace before, so he was kind of excited right now. He was currently enjoying the fruit of his labor 50 years ago. Minato then thought if he ever has friends in this academy. For me, that was definitely a cue for the bully to enter the stage. And with a loud shout, someone behind him called out to him. A wild bully has appeared and it was your typical mean-looking, messy hair bully and company. He was mad because Minato ignored his messages even though he was just Kusanagi. Looking at them, Minato did not even recognize one of them. Not even the red-haired cool wannabe. This question triggered the redhead and in a fit of rage, kicked Minato's desk. He pointed at Minato's face saying he was just a powerless poop and he dared to forget the mighty Tadano. Minato remembered the name on his phone and thought he was Tadano, his friend. Tadano smirked when he saw that Minato finally remembered him and reached out his hands saying that Minato must know what friends are for. Minato received his hands with a gleeful face and agreed to get along with each other as if they were friends. But it seems like Tadano wasn't talking about that kind friend. He demanded Minato hand over the money like some robber. Tadano was imposing his dominance towards Minato as an alpha male by grabbing his collar and demanding the money since he still have plenty left from his parents' inheritance. Talk about scum. Minato now understood what was happening based on how Tadano acted. He's now certain the Kusanagi was being bullied before. Tadano heard Minato's nonsense and swung his fist towards Minato, but it was cut short when a girl with a blue hair entered the premise. She greeted everyone good morning in a sparkling manner. Now was she a friend or a foe? Tadano saw the girl and was mesmerized by her beauty. He even forgot that he was still grabbing Minato by the collar. Moments later, the class finally started and the topic was the calamity 50 years ago. It was known as the Great Calamity, the final calamity that humanity has experienced. It was said that when calamity occurred around the world and monsters appeared, humanity despaired. But then came Ichikami Minato, the great sage. Ichikami Minato fought and killed monsters and finally confronted the demon god and perished together on the battlefield. The teacher then asked who was Ichikami Minato exactly. The blue-haired girl from before raised her hand. It seems like the girl's name was Mizuha. I know a bit of Nihongo and Mizu was definitely water, I think. Anyways, Mizuha stood up and said that Ichikami Minato was the only survivor of the first calamity and the very first magician. He was also the reason why the Kamui Magic Academy was built. She then added that he was the hero of the world and the idol of every magician. Hearing all those good words of praise and admiration that were targeted towards him, Minato was very embarrassed and became as red as an angry bird. Yeah, not a tomato because you already thought of it, so I changed it. An hour or so later, the lesson was over, and as soon as it was over, Tadano and company were already harassing Minato. Tomorrow was the magic power assessment and Tadano was looking forward to how low was Minato's magic power. Huh, boy oh boy, do I have news for you. Hearing Tadano's provocation, Minato was starting to get annoyed and just walked away. But Tadano mocked even his parents for having no magic power, so this snapped Minato. Minato turned to face Tadano, who was busily laughing at him, then said that he was a fucktard. Boy, that was a 2-in-1 special trash talk. The hot-headed Tadano really got angry at that 2-in-1 special and he activated his fire magic aiming at Minato. Everyone was shocked and afraid of what Tadano did and they scattered for safety while Minato was just standing there, menacingly. The fire magic hit Minato and an explosion occurred. Mizuha reprimanded Tadano for using magic just because of a mere squabble and for Tadano's excuse. Minato was picking a fight with him, so it was not his fault. Yeah, definitely a scum. While the two were arguing, the smoke subsided and Minato appeared in the midst of it, unscathed and unharmed. Not even a dust was seen in his uniform. Everyone was shocked at this turn of events, but the most shocked among them was Tadano, who fired that fire magic. Minato on the other hand thought that if it was just level 1 magic, his magic barrier will be enough to block it. Minato then approached Tadano, visibly annoyed at what he has done. He was thinking of punishing him. Minato then activated his magic and mystical power surrounded his body. When this happened, everyone inside the room became unable to move, so they were wondering what kind of magic was being used. Minato continued to approach Tadano and company while Tadano was shaking from fear at the sight of Minato approaching. As Minato was about to get a hold of Tadano, a teacher suddenly entered the room, asking about the commotion and the magic he felt. The teacher was asking them if there was someone who used magic inside the classroom, as it was prohibited. As the teacher already arrived, Minato sighed and started to mislead the teacher, saying the magic might be coming from the outside. The teacher was still skeptical and asked about the smoke, and Minato still put the blame on the outside. Hearing all this and with the credibility of Kusanagi, the teacher finally bit the lure and instructed the students to stay inside the classroom while he was looking for the culprit somewhere else. After the commotion, Minato realized something after that short exchange. The level of magic of the students was very low and he wonders if they can even kill a monster with that kind of power. Because if there's no more calamity, there were still monsters around. Around the evening, Minato decided to check the situation at the old Shibuya. The city was in ruins. Minato was walking in the air with the help of his magic and he stopped at the top of one of the still standing buildings. He commented that Shibuya has changed a lot. Minato quickly continued his reconnaissance, and while he was running through the air, using his magic, he sensed a monster's aura from a very far away. Along with the monster's aura, there's also a lone human out there. Minato hastened his speed, and when he arrived at the location where he sensed their aura, he saw a lady in a police uniform in front of a lion-looking monster. The lady was cowering in fear and the monster took advantage of the situation as it tried to pounce at the lady. Immediately, Minato shielded the woman and arrived in between the both of them. H used his magic to form spikes from the ground, wiping out the monsters. The policewoman, who was already crying, was left in shock as she stared at the disguised Minato. Minato noticed her uniform and he left the area with a warning. The policewoman who was left there thanking the air wonders about Minato's identity. She noticed that when he cast a spell, he did not chant or anything. This bewildered the policewoman even more. Back to Minato casually running across the sky, he noticed that the lady earlier was a police magician. He thought that he was right to cover his face as doesn't want to stand out, but the policewoman was about to get killed, so he doesn't have a choice. He also noticed how weak the policewoman was and concluded that the number of police magicians nowadays has declined a lot. It does put a lot of worry when not even the students but the police have become weaker while the monsters stayed the same. Worse, they may get stronger. After some thought, Minato decided to annihilate all of the monsters in this area, and the rest of the night was omitted. The next day, they gathered in front of a device. The teacher from before told the students that they will be assessing not just their magic power but also their attributes today, as these were important if they want to become professional magicians. Seeing the huge device in front of him, Minato was shocked that they needed that device to measure someone's magic power. This just shows that not only the students but also the teachers were not perceptive to magic. While Minato was busy with his thoughts, Mizuha approached him asking if this was a good time. Mizuha Yuika arrogantly introduced herself as from the family of a magic noble. My man did not even know the existence of a smartphone, let alone a magic noble. This greatly agitated Mizuha as she explained what magic noble was. In short, they were from 4 noble houses that lead the magicians, the magic nobles. Obviously, Minato doesn't have any idea nor does he gives a damn about it, but he noticed that Yuika's power was not great. For someone who claims to be from a family of magic nobles, her power was lacking. Remember, never use someone's glory if you don't have the capability. Yuika noticed Minato's uninterested attitude and became mad as she generously started a conversation with him herself, and he should be more grateful. The sass. Is this what famous people think when they approach some common folks? Their interaction puzzled other students, but someone in the crowd was furious. Tadano was fuming while looking at Minato and Yuika talking. Bro got a crush on her but can't confess. I feel you, bro. Back to Minato and Yuika. Upon hearing the explanation and getting the gist of what a magic noble was, Minato asked Yuika what business a magic noble has with him with an uninterested look. This attitude pissed Yuika even more, but she quickly composed herself. She was about to ask what happened yesterday, but the teacher announced that they will start. As if it was the cue, Minato used this as an excuse to get away from Yuika. The first one to get tested was Tadano, and oh boy, he's so cringy. He approached the crystal and put his hands on it, pouring his magic powers. As he was pouring his magic powers, the crystal turned bright red and a fire formed inside it, indicating that he has a fire attribute while his magic power was 1000. Tadano was very happy with these results. The next one to be assessed was Yuika. She confidently approached the crystal and put her hands on it. Just like before, she poured her magic powers into it, and water formed inside the crystal, indicating that she has a water attribute. What did I say? Mizu is water. And also, her magic power was 2000. The students and teachers applaud these results, proclaiming that both Tadano and Yuika were at the top of their year level. Only Minato was disappointed with the result and thought that Yuika was not much better than an amateur. To think she could be at the top of their year level. Mizuha turned towards Minato with a smug thinking that this will prove the power of a magic noble family. To Minato, however, that was pretty underwhelming. The next one to be assessed was Minato. While he was approaching the crystal, everyone was looking down on Minato for having no talent in magic. This does not bother Minato, he was busy thinking if he should hold back or not. After some thought, Minato said nah and challenged the crystal to measure the power of a great sage. Minato poured his power into the crystal, emitting a mystical glow like a shining diamond. As he was pouring his magic powers slowly, the room became very bright, and eventually, the crystal broke and exploded. Minato thought that he did not even give it his all and the device had already exploded. The teacher quickly checked for injured and checked on Minato. The teacher said that Minato was fortunate as he was in the middle of the explosion. Bro literally at the forefront of the explosion, and he said he was fortunate. Anyhow, the teacher was at a loss since this was the first time he saw the machine broken, and this is problematic since he was planning to divide them according to their power level for a combat class. After some thought, the teacher put Minato in Tadano's group. My guy can't even take a break. Tadano secretly talked to his company and with a bright smile, said that they will take Minato and they were looking forward to it. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked the video. Subscribe for more videos like this and comment if you want to see another part. That's all for this video. See you in the next recap.